We're back on a Monday evening here on Open Line. Rhori Johnston with you tonight, and happy October to you. I hope you've been enjoying this nice, cooler weather. I know I have been. We needed it. Our guests tonight, Sonya Thomas and John Little, both with Nashville PROPEL. We thank them again for being with us, and let's go right to the phones. I said we're going to talk, obviously, about the pandemic and how it has impacted our students and their education, which it's been a big impact. But let's get right to Linda, who's been holding patiently. Hi, Linda.
Hey, Linda. Good evening, everybody. I am a retired Metro teacher, and I know that the school where I was located at retirement still continues to do evening parent-teacher conferences.
Okay.
So please don't say that they don't meet the parents' needs, because we did.
Okay.
Because most of our parents work during the daytime, and we provided times for them to come in later. And that also, the school where I taught seems to be having great virtual learning going on, and I look at it on Facebook every night.
Wow.
So,
Linda, how long were you in the school system?
42 years.
So just a short while, huh?
Right. Yeah, just a
little
years.
bit.
I started when I was 13.
Yeah, of course. Linda, let me just ask you while we have you here. You know, we're just talking about, I said parental involvement, and Sonya kind of changed it a little bit to parental engagement. It really is important, though, isn't it, to have the parents involved?
Definitely is. Definitely is. And it from school to school, it's going to be different.
Right.
But we tried to meet the needs.
Right. You made an effort.
We even did a split day several times. We would come in like super early. We would go home and come back and do late evening meetings. Right. Good. And so, I mean, just please don't say that that happens at every
We didn't mean to paint such a broad strokes. We know some schools are trying their best, and we appreciate it, Linda. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
And Rhori, I'll jump into that just a little bit, and thank you, Linda. And let's be clear, like, we need teachers. Without teachers, we wouldn't have a school system. And honestly, like, the cost of living in Nashville is going up, Linda, and I'm pretty sure you got out at the right time, because they said, to live in Nashville, it takes $60,000 to $65,000, and I know teachers are not making nearly that much. I think also what we have to say, like, this is something we talked about, a school. And at PROPEL, we don't go over single school issues. What we advocate for when we think about equity, how can we get this in every school? And so Linda had a plan. She had an administration behind her. They even had a backup plan. They said switch days. That was really creative. What we're pushing for as parents, not just to have it at Linda's school, but to have it across the board, because all parents deserve that. And again, Linda, and all teachers, like, we love you and we need this partnership. And so we don't want it to be combative. We can't do this work alone. Teachers can't do it alone. Parents can't do it alone. But we all need to make sure that our kids, the kids we teach, and the kids that we birth are getting a quality education.
Sonya, do you look at maybe best practices? Look at the MNPS schools that are doing better, and like John said, and how can we take what they're doing in these schools and maybe some schools that are struggling academically, put them in place?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that's very, very important. I actually spoke to one of our city's school board members last week who visited a school in East Nashville and talked about the computer science program that they have at that school, and how other schools in that same neighborhood didn't even know that they could access that opportunity. So yes, I think that we need to look at the best practices from the top down, from the principal to the teachers to the support staff, and duplicate those things in the school, and champion those things that are working good and those things that are not working well. Then we really have to look at those things, and we have to quickly make those changes. And so, Linda, thank you for your service.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Did she say 42 years?
Yeah, 42.
No, we appreciate that. My mom's best friend was an educator, and some of my best friends are educators. But the reality is it's not happening in all schools. And so my prayer is that those practices that Linda was speaking of, that we can duplicate those things all of our schools.
Yeah, again, Linda, thank you. We know one thing about educators, and I say this about law enforcement as well, they don't get into it for the money. We know that. It's a calling. Right. It is a calling, for sure. So let's talk about COVID. COVID hits, the pandemic spreads, and schools shut down, and we know for sure that, you know, there's learning loss over the summer months. And that's been proven in study after study. There's a little bit of learning loss, and that's why there's kids who are encouraged to read and kind of try to stay up with some sort of studying in the summertime. And now we have this pandemic where some kids have not been to school in 6-7 months. Tell me about your concerns and how your group, PROPEL, has had to kind of maybe change its operations.
Wow, that's a great question. So first of all, back in March, we had the tornado that hit, right? Boom. That hit us, and then COVID hit us. And so we knew that we had a problem, because we know that when things happen in the Black and brown community, it's like triple, double, quadruple, but as far as the impact goes. And so we became concerned at that time. And what we did, we took the action of reaching out to our family, surveying them, and see what was keeping them awake at night. And the things that were keeping them awake at night was the fact that school stopped. That some of these families did not have the resources that they needed, whether they lost their homes, and then also we had the digital divide. And so what we did was we started championing and pressing the issue that we needed to close the digital divide. We need to make sure that when we go back to school, proactively assess each and every child. I don't care where they live at. Assess them for learning loss, and then putting together an individualized plan to recover these children. And so we have been championing this for months. We've been talking about learning loss, Rhori, since March, because we already knew that our children were behind, and we knew the implications of COVID-19, and we knew that we were going to have a COVID-19 learning loss, and instead of just a summer.
It's a double, triple whammy, right?
Yes.
This, I'm reading out of the Tennessean article, so I want to give Tennessean credit for this. When this came out, and when Governor Bill Lee and Education Commissioner Penny Schwinn talked about this, that preliminary data released by the Tennessee Department of Education projects an estimated 50% decrease in proficiency rates in third grade reading and a projected 65% decrease in proficiency in math. And Governor Lee characterized it as an alarm that's been sounded. Short-term impacts, long-term impacts, where do we go from here?
And Sonya, I'll jump into this a little bit. And Rhori, some people are going to challenge how true the learning loss is, right? They're going to say that's not totally true. And I'll let them have that. But let me tell you where we were for 2017, 2018, and 2019. Here are the facts. When we were in school, we were supposed to, as a district in MNPS, 28% were on grade level, 27% were on grade level in 2018, and 29% were on grade level in 2019. This is reading. And that's just for MNPS as a whole. But if we break it down, let's say we break it down by economically disadvantaged.
Right.
15% were on grade level for reading in 2017, but 2019 still 15%. And that's what we had the numbers before we talked about learning loss. And so that I'll speak to that.
So even before COVID, we're looking at a full 2/3 or more of these kids who are not.
100 of our kids who ride the bus, 100 of our kids who are playing on the playground, 15% of them are reading on grade level by third grade.
Sad.
What do people say when they hear that statistic? I mean, that's pretty, it's kind of frightening.
It's not my kid, is what we hear. That ain't little Johnny, that ain't little Susan. But in reality, it's a greater chance that it is.
Yeah.
Especially in the world we live in, with a global economy and when these kids get out of high school, whether they go on to a junior college, a vocational school, or straight out and get a job, the competition is fierce, and they've got to be ready.
Got to be ready. I think the stakes have never been higher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the steps that we take today are going to impact us in the months to come, in the years to come, Rhori. So we've got to have a sense of urgency and assess our children, see where they are. A lot of parents don't know where they are. The district has been giving these MAP assessments, and I haven't seen any results yet. And so parents need to be asking where those results are, so that a plan can be put in place. And they need to be asking, where is the plan? What are you going to do to recover my child?
All right, we're going to go ahead and hit this next break right now, as I want to talk a little more about some of these numbers and a little more about what Nashville Propel is doing. And wide open lines, folks, 737+ if you'd like to call in and join the discussion. If you have a child in metro schools, are they back in school or are they still home learning virtually? How's it going? We want to hear from you. Stay with us.